Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Devo. Loving the tunes, man. The chill. Definitely a chill vibe. Just totally love it. Nothing like music. Hey, welcome. It's the 4th of July, Matthew 27, part 2. It's so cool that we're in this section on the 4th. I mean, very cool. So welcome in. My name's Bo Willette. You could always check out the archives of these YouTube streams and Facebook streams on either my YouTube channel at Bo Willette. It's in the top right corner, the French Canadian name there, or you can go just to my catch-all website, bowillette.com, and you can read stuff and listen to podcasts and different things. Just my catch-all stuff. So anyway, hope you guys are well. Happy 4th again. Hope you guys have a great night. And might rain here, so we just never know if it's going to rain or not in our area. It seems like every 4th we're kind of up in the air of whether it's going to rain or not. So we'll see. Okay, you guys ready to go? Ready to get into it? Ready to kind of rock this thing? Okay, let's do it. Okay, Matthew 27, we're in verse 32. Let's read. This is on the crucifixion. That's where we're at. I love to go through the Bible. I just simply go through it. Go through it. Even me, the progressive kid, atheist kid growing up, when he just read the Bible, Genesis on, man, it changed my life. It says, along the way, they came across a man named Simon, who was from Cyrene. And the soldiers forced him to carry Jesus' cross. And they went out to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull. Isn't it a bummer when people force you to do something? You know, that kind of, hey, go do it. And I love it that this guy Simon, there's a lot of cool Bible studies on this, by the way. But Simon of Cyrene, I love that he, even though he's forced to do it, he does it. He's got the strength to be able to help, right? To carry Jesus's cross. That must have been a heavy beam that Jesus is carrying. And it says, the soldiers gave Jesus wine mixed with bitter gall. And when he had tasted it, he refused to drink it. And after they had nailed him to the cross, the soldiers gambled for his clothes by throwing dice. Then they sat around and kept guard as he hung there. A sign was fastened above Jesus' head, announcing the charge against him. It read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Definitely a front against Rome, right? There's no king but Caesar, right? So this is definitely a mocking sign, title for Jesus. Oh yeah, the King of the Jews, ha ha ha. And 2 revolutionaries were crucified with him, one on his right and the other on his left. And it says, the people passing by shouted abuse, shaking their heads in mockery. "Look at you now," they yelled at him. "You said you were going to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. Well then, if you are the Son of God, save yourself and come down from the cross." It sounds very devil-like, right? The temptation of Jesus is kind of in this way too. Hey, why don't you do this? God will help you out. Why don't you do that? I'll give you the kingdom. If you just come down, just do what I want you to do, kind of thing. Human beings are like this, where we tend to mock the humble. We tend to criticize. Now, it's interesting that the government and its propaganda machine in Jesus' day moved the people to yell, "Crucify him." Remember, they plotted this all out. And the people were moved by the religious government. So much so that they started mocking, criticizing, making fun of, seeing Jesus as less than human, to the point of killing, murdering. Isn't it interesting that human beings can go from, praise. 1 minute we praise, "Oh God, you're so good," to murder. And we are so moved by other human beings that if enough human beings say something, we will follow suit. And that's what's clearly being revealed here, is that even if God were to come in the flesh on the planet, humans would follow other humans in the wrong direction. We tend to do that. Our emotions are so frail that we don't want to stand out. We don't want to be different. We don't want to go against the grain. We fear just what people in power will do. They will use humility. They will take vulnerability and use it for their own gain. And this happens in everybody's life. It's not just a government problem, but governments are made of humans. And it's so weird that people would walk by Jesus on the cross and just start mocking him. Oh, you fool. If you were this, you would, why don't you do this? If you say you're the Son of God, then why don't you do that? Totally clueless, but just spitting out what the leaders were saying in the newspaper, on the article on the internet, on social media. They were just spitting out the same thing. How many of us are just spitting out the same exact thing? Nothing new. And we're just spitting out what we've been told to say. How much of my mind is really my mind? Is it really independent? Or is it bound in just what others want me to think and do? Man, you see in this section, the people passing by, shouting abuse, shaking their heads in mockery. It says in verse 41, the leading priests, the teachers of religious law, and the elders also mocked Jesus. He saved others, they scoffed, but he can't save himself. So he is the King of Israel, is he? Let him come down from the cross right now, and we will believe him. He trusted God, so let God rescue him if he wants him. For he said, I am the Son of God. Even the revolutionaries were crucified with him, ridiculed him in the same way. Oh, yeah, I really see myself in here. I can see myself just following, just doing what other people are doing. Not really being independent at all. Not really being a, quote, free thinker. How many, growing up, listening to Democracy Now! All the time, growing up progressive, how much of my mind really was my mind? Or how much of it really was just reiterating Chomsky or reiterating Howard Zinn or reiterating, Cornel West? What was it? What was I just getting stuff from other people and just going in that direction? And because my friends and people around me seemed to go in that direction, that's the waters we swam in. We just went, that's what we were doing. I didn't want to go against that. Yeah, it's funny. You can't get out of it, right? Whether you're in the Christian bubble or the secular bubble, man, you can't get out of this, where we become people that just follow other people. And we follow other people in such foolish ways, blinded ways, right? The blind certainly leading the blind. And Jesus just taking it all. Oh, could you imagine God creating human beings in his image, and the creation rebels? And he comes to visit. He comes to love them, to care for them, to hold out his hand to them and offer them a better way. And his creation murders them. At noon, darkness fell across the whole land until 3:00. But at about 3:00, Jesus called out with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Some of the bystanders understood and thought he was calling for the prophet Elijah. One of them ran and filled a sponge with sour wine, holding it up to him on a reed stick so he could drink. But the rest said, "Wait, let's see whether Elijah comes to save him." Then Jesus shouted out again, and he released his spirit. And at that moment, the curtain in the sanctuary, a very thick curtain at that, very tall and thick, I think it was around 18 inches thick, was torn in two from top to bottom. That temple that goes in, or that curtain that enters, gets you into the Holy of Holies place in the temple. The place where it's a real private part, a private place. And only one person's supposed to go in there. And that's only at a certain time. And that access to God, that place of communion with God, which separated the holy place and the most holy place, that curtain was torn. And it says it was torn from top to bottom. And the earth shook, rocks split apart. And it says, and tombs opened. I love it. When God does something from the top down, all things get shaken. And I kind of love that idea that, today God wants to do something in my life. And it's always kind of earth-shattering, earth-shaking, right? When God touches you. From the top down to me. When it's really a work of God from the top down. Not me trying to earn my way up, but when it's from Him, His grace, His mercy down to me, man, it hits my heart and something happens, right? The rocks split, the earth shook, the tombs opened, the bodies of many godly men and women who had died were raised from the dead. It's nothing short than a resurrection from the dead when it's a work of God. And they left the cemetery after Jesus' resurrection, went into the holy city of Jerusalem, and appeared to many people. Something special was happening, something unique, a new beginning, right? New times, fresh times, and man, new wine, new wineskins, all kinds of things were happening. It's new wine, and and it says that the Roman officer and the other soldiers at the crucifixion were terrified by the earthquake and all that had happened, and they said this man truly was the Son of God. Something hit him. This is unique. This is special. Something's different going on. It's funny. Even the Roman soldiers, some of the Roman soldiers, figured out that this person was unique. There was something very interesting about Yeshua, this person in Israel. And they got it, that this really was the Son of the living God. If Jesus is the Son of the living God, then you better listen. You better pay attention. That is an incredible, incredible claim to be the actual Son of God. If you share that kind of unity with God, right, then you are unique. You are a unique individual, one with authority, much more authority than anybody on the planet here. Sometimes we think we know because we're in the modern technological age. But that's what they thought 500 years ago. And that's what they thought 1,000 years ago. And that's what they thought 1,500 years ago. And that's what they thought 2,000 years ago. 500 years from now, they'll think we're dumb. It's like to focus on the achievements of mankind is a fool's errand. What have we really done? Nothing. We still live, we still die, we still kill people, we still are envious, we still are jealous, we still hate things, we still can't reconcile, we still can't. Do you see it? We're still the same people. We need saving. We need someone greater. Well, that's what the Roman officers finally got. The someone greater is right here. It's Jesus. And many women who had come from Galilee with Jesus to care for him were watching from a distance. Love that. The women were right there, riveted. Among them were Mary Magdalene. Man, some interesting people. Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of James and John and the son of Zebedee. And as evening approached, Joseph, a rich man from Arimathea who had become a follower of Jesus, went to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. And Pilate issued an order to release it to him. Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a long sheet of clean linen cloth. He placed it in a new tomb, which had been carved out of the rock, and then he rolled a great stone across the entrance and left. Both Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting across from the tomb and watching. Man, do a study on Joseph of Arimathea. That's another great study. And it says, the next day on the Sabbath, the leading priests and Pharisees went to see Pilate. They told him, "Sir, we remember that the deceiver once said," they called Jesus the deceiver. Isn't that interesting? These are the ones that plotted to murder Jesus, right? They plotted. They knew they were murdering. They said they were murdering him, and yet they call him the deceiver, right? Trying to manipulate Pilate, trying to convince themselves that Jesus was something he wasn't. Am I like that? Do I try to manipulate? Do I try to tell people? Do I tell innocent people that, I'm not saying Pilate's innocent, but I'm saying, do we, talk to people that are innocent, but we try to manipulate them, slander other people before them? Oh, I was a kid, and I remember at times my parents would slander one another, meaning they would slander each other to me, where they would tell me as a kid, how bad my dad was or how bad my mom was. And, it's kind of like this, right? Where they say, hey, that Jesus deceiver Pilate, he's, oh man, he was a deceiver. Oh, he's so bad, and it's a bummer when people of authority, your parents, talk to you and you're a kid and they're telling you how wrong your mom is or how wrong your dad is. And they're trying to manipulate you to get you to think something that's really not true. It's a skewed point of view. But they, do it. And I see that in me. I can slander like that. I can put down. I can mock. Man, it's amazing how the Bible just reveals our hearts in these people. And so the leaders say, hey, remember that deceiver. What he once said when he was still alive, after 3 days I will raise from the dead. So we request that you seal the tomb until the third day. So the tomb was sealed. It was all the authority of Rome was was protecting the tomb of Jesus. Rome was a don't mess around with empire. And so now Jesus's tomb has this Roman seal on it that if you mess with the tomb, you mess with Rome. And the whole point was to prevent his disciples from coming and stealing his body and then telling everybody that he was raised from the dead. Hey, look at him. He's raised from the dead. I mean, he's beat to a pulp. He's bloody, right? His bones are showing. But boy, what a resurrection. I don't know if that would have flew too well. But the Pharisees were in paranoia mode. When you're filled with guilt and shame, we get we become handcuffed in paranoia. We can't get out of it. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this? Even stuff that's ridiculous. We start thinking of ridiculous things. Like, you think these guys, these guys that are wimps, that are scared to death, are going to somehow steal the body and then present him raised from the dead? And people are going to look at this bloodied body that can't even be recognized as a human being, and they're going to say, wow, he's raised from the dead. Praise God. How amazing. I want to follow you. No, it was a ridiculous idea. claiming, what they're saying that could possibly happen. It was a reaction out of guilt and shame and fear and insecurity and jealousy and all that. That's what this is. And we do the same thing quite a bit in our lives, where we allow these emotions to bring us to places of absolute paranoia, right? It's not a good feeling to be paranoid. I think of course, the old song Paranoid. I had the album. But yeah, it's a scary emotion. It's one that is so riveted by fear that you're looking over your shoulder. You're trying to examine everything from every position because you're afraid there's going to be a chink in the armor. You're going to be found out. And so you're looking over everything, right? A great chapter in the Bible is Isaiah 30. I always think of, when I think of paranoid, I think of Isaiah 30. And you might want to check it out. But anyway, it says, and if that happens, man, if they present him as resurrected, it will be worse off than we were at first. Man, it's going to be these people, we're going to have to manipulate them more. We're going to have to turn the tide. We're going to have to get the newspapers rolling. We're going to have to get on our social media and put out more propaganda on this deceivers, right? The ante gets upped and the government works harder to throw out what they need to throw out to get the people to move. Pilate replied, "Take guards and secure it as best as you can." So they sealed the tomb and posted guards to protect it. So they didn't just seal the tomb, but they also sent guards to protect. You're going to go to the tomb, you're going to have to fight Roman guards. You better be good at fighting because they're really good at fighting. They enjoy it. Think of how much they enjoyed beating up Jesus. They mocked, they sneered, they beat him up, they played games. Man, they were just waiting for some Jewish person to come up to that tomb, and if you've ever hung out with people who like to fight, that really enjoy beating people up, man, it is a trip, right? I mean, they love it. They can't wait. Come at them, man. They're so ready to go at you. They're so ready to get into it, and these people were like that, so they weren't just like, oh my God, we're guarding the tomb. This is kind of scary to guard the tomb. No, they were like, come, let's do this. Let's go at it. I'd love to pop you in the face, So, and you had a bunch of these people. So this tomb was very, very well protected. Hopefully in the devotion you see the independence that we have. That we have been freed. We can go into that Holy of Holies place. It's a work of God from the top down. We have our independence. We're no longer in enmity with God. No longer in this conflict with God. Now we can be restored through the crucifixion of Christ, through the atonement that he brings, the blood that was shed, the life is in his blood. And that blood can be applied to you. It can be applied to your doorpost, right? The Passover lamb was slain. And that blood can be applied when you just say, yes, I repent of my sin, meaning I turn from my ways, what I think. Maybe I got to turn from what I think and I got to get my mind on what God thinks, what God says about life, what God says about death, what God says about this world, and move away from what I think about it. Where really my thoughts are following God's thoughts, not the other person's thoughts, not the government's thoughts, not the book I read the other day, not, that kind of thing. But it's now I'm starting to look to the right source for my thinking. God, the Creator. Very cool. Hey, happy Independence Day. Michael was a paranoid guy, he says in the comment corner. Yeah, ooh. And that's no fun, I must say, that paranoid feeling. Michael says, Isaiah 55, 8 and 9, my thoughts are not God's thoughts. So true, right? His ways, not our ways, right? His forgiveness, so much better than ours. Oh, I love it. Paula, you guys have Tina, my friends, Patty, everybody. Just want to say happy 4th. Have a great one, okay? You guys take care. Bye-bye.